Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and today we're going to be talking about a juicy topic, which is going to be hotshot trucking. Now, hotshot trucking has a lot of misunderstandings with it. Some people think, is it legal? Is it illegal? Do I need my CDL license to drive one of these things? Do I not need my CDL license? And in this video, we're going to cover all that stuff for you. So you'll be an expert to know if this is the proper path for you. Before we actually get started, I want to let you know what is actually hotshot trucking. Hotshot trucking usually has to do with a pickup truck with some type of trailer behind there. So these are some examples that you see right over here. For instance, this is a pickup truck with like a gooseneck trailer. This is a normal pickup truck with like a pinto hook type of thing. So all these things are for hotshot trucking. Now, why would somebody choose to go the hotshot trucking route versus just getting into an actual tractor trailer itself? So hotshot trucking fits a very small niche in the actual transportation space. What are the rules when it comes to hotshot trucking? That means that the entire vehicle itself, when they're put together, has to be weighed less than 26,000 pounds, and the actual trailer that you're carrying plus the load has to be less than 10,000 pounds. If that trailer is rated for more than 10,000 pounds, and plus the gross vehicle weight rating of the actual truck that you're carrying itself is more than 26, you're legally required to get a CDL license. So that being said, you're going to be like, why would anybody pay to actually transport smaller things that weigh less than 10,000 pounds? Well, there is an entire niche in the market of transportation when it comes to different loads that don't fill up a full tractor trailer, right? So you see this a lot in the car carrier space. So there's a lot of car carriers out there that just hook up a special trailer to the actual back of a pickup truck, and they're carrying like two cars at the same time. Each car is worth like 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, which means in total they're under 10,000 pounds on the trailer, and legally able to transport that vehicle without a CDL license, and that's considered hotshotting, right? So sometimes when you're dealing with small loads, you might be able to charge a premium because you can fill up an entire load itself of a trailer, but you're actually making less money than an actual person who gets an entire trailer load as a CDL operator. But there are people who try to live in that gray zone, which is actually, hey, I'm not gonna get my CDL license, I'm just gonna kind of stretch this thing out. I'm going to kind of roll the dice on it, and if I get caught, I get caught, right? So if you actually get caught transporting a load that weighs more than 10,000 pounds and you don't have a CDL license, the fines start off at around $5,000 for operating a CDL vehicle without a CDL license itself. So it might be cheaper and faster just to get your CDL license, go through the school, come to the best CDL school in the country, and we can actually help you out with that. So whether you want to go hotshot trucking or whether you want to go with the actual tractor trailer, we can help you out one way or the other, and you're completely clean and don't have anything to worry about. But say that, no, I want to go hotshot trucking and I'm going to make sure I follow the rules. What do I need to do? There's still a few things that you do have to do, right? So if you're working for somebody, you want to make sure that this company is not running under the table or anything like that, because at the end of the day, if you get caught with a company doing bad stuff, you're going to be the one responsible. It's going to be your license. So whether it's going to be your company that you're looking to start or you're going to work for a company, these are the requirements that they need. So first and foremost, you're going to need to have a DOT examination done. So what does that mean? A DOT physical. So you're going to go to a DOT certified doctor, and you want to make sure that you're healthy enough to actually operate a vehicle. You don't have to have a CDL license for any of this stuff. You can just say, hey, I'm just looking to get a normal DOT. They won't ask any other questions from there, and you're good to go. Now, because you are transporting things on the road, you're going to need to have a commercial auto policy. That means because you're a business, you have to make sure that you're insured at a certain point. If you're in a state like New Jersey, for tractor trailers, the minimum policy is actually $1.5 million coverage, which is extremely high. Other states are going to be a little bit less. Depending on where your headquarters are, depends on what your premiums look like. Now, of course, the hotshot trucking market actually will pay smaller premiums than an overall tractor trailer, simply because of the size and the weight and kind of the value of the vehicles itself. But it's still super important to make sure you have the proper insurance. If you get caught without it, not good. Now, the other things that might be foreign to you are you're going to need two numbers that are called a DOT number and an MC number. In a nice, easy way to say it, that's just so the DOT Department of Transportation for the federal side knows exactly who you are, so you're registering your company. The MC is tied to the company itself. The DOT number is to the actual individual driver or to that actual kind of operator. So you can have the same driver with the same MC number. You'll still have two separate numbers. Make sure that you're fully legal. That's definitely going to be needed when you're actually transporting goods and services across state lines. If you're staying within the state itself and you're not ever crossing any state lines, you can probably bypass that. But if you just cross over, especially like if you're here in New Jersey to Pennsylvania or to New York and coming back, that's called interstate commerce, and now you're mandated on the federal level. So make sure you follow the federal rules. And they won't hear, oh, I didn't know, as an excuse. They'll just pay the fine, and then that's the way you find out. So make sure you take advantage of it now before you start this process of paying a lot of fines because you simply didn't know. The other things that you're going to need when it comes to the actual trucking world itself, especially if you're doing interstate commerce, is going to be something called the IFTA compliance. Now, when it comes to IFTA, that is kind of like a gas tax. So pretty much what that means is if you're fueling up in a state that has super cheap gas because their gas tax is actually low, right? Now you're spending most of your miles in a separate state because you're now not paying that tax. It's a simple form that you have to calculate. Okay, I spent X amount of miles in this state, X amount of miles in that state, X amount of miles in that state. I never fueled up in state A, so that means I owe state A some tax money for the actual fueling itself. So because you are doing interstate commerce, super, super important. Other things that you're going to need is something like an EIN number. That's going to be when you actually have a business. A BOC3 filing itself, especially if you're going to be an out-of-state carrier. Again, crossing state lines, super important. Now, if you're transporting anything outside of a 100-mile radius, which most likely you are if you're hot-shotting, you're going to need an ELD, electronic logging device, right? So it's kind of like a time log. It used to be paper on a book itself. Anything over 2,000, you're going to need to install this thing into your truck because there's going to be certain rules on what you can drive. Now, because you don't have a CDL license doesn't mean you can drive 24/7. If you're actually following the rules as needed, you have to follow the same safety guidelines because you're doing this as an operator itself. So if you're doing it for free and you're just kind of going across the country, there's no rules on how long you can drive. As soon as you start doing it for a living and transporting goods and services across state lines, you have to follow the entire guidelines, which means you have to follow things like you can't drive more than 11 hours in one day, you can't be working for more than 14 hours per day, and all things like that. Make sure you actually read up on everything that you need before you get yourself in trouble. Now, the other thing you're going to need is going to make sure you have copies of annual inspections because you're going to make sure that you get inspected annually. Make sure you get a motor carrier authorization certificate, which means that the truck that you're operating has the right to actually be leased onto a motor carrier, which is kind of like the manager of the fleet that helps you get loads back and forth. And make sure you have all the proper registration for the vehicle like you would for any car or any truck itself. So, hotshot trucking, pros and cons. The pros are you don't need a CDL license for hotshot trucking, and there's a good enough volume if you get things going, right? And the fact that you don't need a CDL license, that means you actually have a lot more competition. So that's definitely going to be one of the cons. The other thing that you do have to understand is when you're kind of outfitting these pickup trucks with the trailers, you're really kind of stretching these pickup trucks out to the point where they're not really built for these things. So even though your startup cost might be lower than actually starting a trucking company because you're thinking, hey, it's just a normal pickup truck, I can pick that up, I can get a great finance deal, it's a normal trailer. Because of the type of work that you're doing and all the weight that you're putting on these things like the brakes start wearing out, transmission starts blowing out much faster, and it makes things a lot more difficult for you when it comes to the maintenance piece of it. When it comes to the tractor trailer, yes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to get started, but you can make actually a lot more money because you're able to transport a lot more itself, right? And it's much easier to find a job if you don't have the money to start a business as a tractor trailer driver because there's so much operations out there. So if you're looking to kind of do hotshot or CDL, if you kind of want to be your own boss, kind of go underneath the radar, stay small, and you don't have any interest in getting a CDL license, stick with hotshot and make sure you know the rules. If you want to avoid all that stuff and give yourself the most availability and opportunities out there as possible, make sure you get yourself a CDL license and then you can get the pick. Do you want to go hotshotting? Or most likely you're going to go with the CDL tractor trailers because you're going to be making more money and you're doing the same amount of work, actually less, because the smaller the loads, the more you have to kind of help load, unload, strap, unstrap, and all that. If you're just driving a normal tractor trailer, all you gotta do is back that baby up into a dock and chill and relax. So super cool. If you want to start your career with us today, we're here to help you out. We got locations nationwide across the country. Check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Again, cdldrivingacademy.com. Thanks. Have a great one. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to get your CDL license, you know where to go. Check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com, right over there. And if you like this video, you'll definitely like this video right over here. So make sure you check that out. But before anything else, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you soon.